It?
We have Tony Stark. I'm a big fan. Welcome, Tony. Okay, well, welcome guys to a new episode of our community call. Well, as you might know, this is a very exciting week for us. And yesterday we had the launch event for the VIA Bridge, which is a message bridge that we developed at Kleros in the context of a larger development we are doing, which is Kleros 2.0. As we have mentioned many times, Kleros 2.0 is bringing a bunch of improvements for Kleros in the sense of having more flexible social choice theory ideas, which enable different voting systems, which will help address a number of use cases that were not easy to address with the existing incentive system. I mean, for example, like ranked options for jurors to choose between, well, a bunch of other improvements in that sense. It also brings very big improvements in efficiency. So Kleros 2.0 will be way cheaper than the first version, and this will enable something that is very exciting for us, that is resolving smaller claims in lots of different industries. So one of the big blockers for us historically was that we wanted to target smaller claims in consumer disputes, for example, and building Kleros in well, in Ethereum was super expensive in terms of gas, and so well, this was a friction point. So a bunch of different well, developments, and as part of this new architecture for Kleros 2.0, we did a lot of research among options of bridges to make communications between the home chain where Kleros will live and other chains where arbitrable apps are going to be on. And well, we didn't find something that was exactly what we were looking for, so we had to develop this bridge called VIA. It was not originally intended for us to do this development. I might, I guess, let William explain a bit more on why was that decision made and what were the problems that existing bridges were not able to solve. And yeah, maybe I'll explain a bit about what is the architecture of VIA in general.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, most bridges that exist currently are token bridges, where you like are specifically designed for sending tokens from one chain to another. Maybe you send tokens to a liquidity provider, they give you tokens on another chain. Maybe you like send a token to like some kind of wrapper contract and it locks it up, and then like another token appears on another chain. So that's not really they're not adapted to like sending the kinds of messages around the resolution of a Kleros dispute saying, okay, like whoever won this dispute, like the result of this dispute is whatever option. And the degree to which like good message bridges, like what message bridges existed, they tended to either be like, there were a few like sort of centralized bridges where you trust some centralized party, or notably the kind of like default slow bridges native to rollups. So particularly when you're trying to bridge message from one rollup to another, they have a like native bridge where you can send a message from the rollup to L1, but because of the way optimistic rollups work, in order to like give people time to challenge potentially malicious information on the rollup, you have to wait kind of a long time before that information is available on L1. Typically 7 days in the sort of optimism arbitrum framework. And that 7-day time limit is really calibrated for like an attacker who would want to, like be able to steal like all the value from a rollup, like have some like gigantic withdrawal transaction and steal everyone's money. And if you're just trying to like provide the ruling of some smaller scale Kleros dispute, then like maybe that level of security is like over calibrated, and you might want to have some like faster process. So with VIA, the idea is that you do something similar to an optimistic rollup, where you can claim information on the chain that's supposed to receive the information. So say you're going from a roll up to L1, you make a claim on L1, and it can be challenged via an optimistic process. And if someone wants to challenge you, so if the information is challenged, then you just default back to the slow bridge. So you always have this ability for someone to challenge you and to go back to sort of the default slow bridge. But then most of the time when you're not challenged, the information will be available faster. So it can be calibrated to sort of more bespoke levels of security. And even when you're going between a rollup that isn't an optimistic rollup, say if you're on a ZK rollup and going to another ZK rollup, it turns out something we realized when developing this bridge, that not only does VIA offer the potential to have these time savings, but because you can avoid going to L1 and sort of the happy path, you only have to do stuff on L1, interact with L1 contracts in the event that someone challenges you. You can have substantial gas savings because every time you interact with L1, you have to spend a lot of gas. So that, even when you're going between multiple ZK rollups, which a priori would be fast, you can have this gas savings.
There you go. Also, I see Shotaro is here. I don't want to imagine what ungodly hours it must be for him, but it's great that you're here because Shotaro has worked very deeply. I mean, he was one of the persons in charge of the development of VIA. So I will give him the stage if you want to say something. Shotaro, please.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. William gave a pretty accurate description there. Yeah, maybe some things to add, maybe we can link to documentation if you want to learn more, both about this high-level protocol of VIA, or, if you want to look at the code, by all means, or look how to actually integrate and practically use the bridge. And so we've deployed a DevNet. So this is a permissioned version of VIA on a testnet to have a good developer experience, to experience the happy path, so how the bridge would work without lots of latency. And yeah, our next milestone will be the permissionless testnet. And yeah, we're inviting as many interested parties to run watchers, to watch for any malicious claims. So this is, again, very similar to optimistic rollups. People can run watcher nodes that are looking for any inaccurate claims, and if they see some fraud, they raise an alarm bell. Or in the case of VIA, we can have a permissionless protocol, so then someone can directly challenge any fraudulent claim. And there's a few interesting elements about how VIA is actually implemented, but yeah, I'll just refer everyone to the documentation, and yeah, if you guys have some specific questions, but by all means, I'll keep going. But yep.
I think that, people can always listen to yesterday's Twitter Spaces if they want in-depth, detailed information about VIA. I would just ask you now, how can people get involved? Who should care about this? Which project should care about VIA, and how to get involved? Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, VIA is explicitly not a token bridge. It's a message bridge. Although, one could build a token bridge on top using some message passing. So, key use cases of VIA are cross-chain Oracle queries. Maybe this is reading ownership of an NFT that lives on a different chain, or querying, Kleros that lives on a different chain than the chain that your application lives on. Yeah, those are some use cases. So, to practically get involved, so the documentation does have guides on how to integrate smart contracts with VIA on the DevNet as it exists right now. There's a Telegram group for VIA. If you're interested in the concept, or have some potential integration or application, that's a good place to ask questions, and you'll have some developers working on VIA there. Yeah, and maybe yeah. Well, I think William covered the risk model pretty well, where with rollups you have more than $10 billion of assets in a single honeypot that can be the budget for an attacker to profit from breaking the native bridge, and we can sort of better tune our risk tolerance for different applications, which are not escrowing billions of dollars of assets, but could be smaller scale. But not even talking that small. You might have 1,000 applications with 1,000 smart contracts escrowing $1 million each, and so cumulatively you have $1 billion being escrowed. But kind of the difference here is that if these contracts are listening to some cross-chain Oracle query to determine how to distribute these tokens, if you design a system which cannot be arbitrarily drained, you don't have a shared unified honeypot. So like in the same way that every application or user of a rollup puts their tokens into one contract that is of the risk that some attacker can send a single transaction and steal everything on the rollup. The difference with VIA is that it can be used in situations where tokens are involved, and even with some significant value. But the idea is that as long as we don't have a single contract with tens of billions of dollars locked in a central honeypot that's growing and growing, and that's as long as we have more reasonable applications, VIA is a perfectly secure solution, and it's about tailoring the security for the application and being able to fine-tune that.
As a sort of like explicit example, if you imagine like Kleros cases using this, like maybe there are like however many Kleros cases, and collectively they control $1 billion. But like if the attacker somehow corrupts VIA and blocks like a challenge, and a malicious thing gets through, the attacker can only profit from that to the degree to which they are like able to pull money from each of these Kleros cases individually. So a priori, like the smart contracts on the other side of the bridge will be written in a way that like the money will go to like the parties of the dispute. So unless the attacker has set themselves up as being like one of the parties in every single dispute, most of that money wouldn't be accessible to them.
Okay, so there you go. Super happy about this launch, and so help us get the word out for everyone that might be willing to use the VIA bridge. I mean, this is just a project we developed from Kleros, but it can be used by anyone, so we want people to use it. So help us spread the word. Yeah, and we will be updating and adding more documentation in the next few days. And our next roadmap milestone in a bit more than 2 more weeks is going to be a new demo of Kleros, but this time also including VIA bridge in the demo. So that's almost, I guess, it's very near the final version of V2. Not final, but it's like getting close, and VIA is a super important milestone in this. So yeah, super happy about that. I mean, I will let you guys, if you have any question about VIA, I mean, go ahead, please. Okay, well, you can write them on Telegram anyway. So in other news, we have next week. We are many team members, or some team members are participating in a very cool conference in Florence, organized by Blockchain Gov at the European University about DAOs and constitutions. So, as you know, Kleros, one of the Kleros use cases is to work as a kind of Supreme Court for DAO governance, and in order to potentially overrule or overturn governance decisions that could be contrary to a DAO values or to a DAO constitution. And so this is a principle of separation of powers where Kleros can play an important role. So we are also exploring very carefully different ways in which to create constitutions. As you know, DAO governance is kind of messy. That's maybe even an euphemism. And there are lots of different people trying to understand how to build constitutions for DAOs. And we are currently working quite closely with Blockchain Gov to try to understand what is the best way to do that. I mean, what should be let's say, a handbook that you can follow to make a constitution for a DAO, and then how you can keep that constitution alive. So this conference that's going to take place in Florence is going to be super, super interesting, and it's going to gather, everyone who is basically working on these type of topics around the world. I'm going to be there with a bunch of other members of Kleros. I think Clement is going. I think also Jamilia is going. Are you going, Abir, to the conference?
Yes, I will be there. I'll be there, and also at ETH Prague.
And there, your European tour.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so we have that is going to be a big thing for next week. And then, business development, we are making progress. I don't know, Marcos, what I can say. We are working with a company from Argentina, a Web 2.5 company, into resolving disputes. I should have asked, last week if I was, authorized to say the name in public. I forgot to ask, so maybe let's not mention the name. People, it's quite easy to figure it out, but it's just not get into trouble. Yeah. So do you want to have other updates from BD, Marcos?
Yeah, let's wait one more week to
one more week.
Big new. But besides this, we're working in a new integration with a project called Payant. We are going to do recognition of jurisdiction integration to solve the conflicts between their users. And I think there are not too many more updates about the BD team for this week. The incentive program for Curate today was the last day of the incentive program for Curate, and it's going to be one that is going to start in a few weeks. So I will be telling more about this maybe in the next community call.
Cool. Okay, so let me see. What else do we have?
I believe that about business dev, we can comment about Polka Markets that they launched their V2, I believe, earlier this morning. I did not send the communications yet, but I will send it later today. And we have Alex here. I don't know, Alex, would you like to talk a little bit about the launch?
Oh yeah, thank you. So sorry, I'm in the car. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, we can hear.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, indeed, we did announce our V2 this morning. I won't, go into too much detail. This is a Kleros call, but I invite you all to check it out. So Polka Markets, if you don't know, is a prediction markets protocol. It's completely decentralized. It's user run, and V2 is packed with well, many features that I think make it, if not the best, certainly one of the best prediction markets protocols out there. And I would just want to underline the fact that we are now in the process of integrating with Kleros on Polygon. So yeah, expect an announcement on that in the coming weeks, so that people can escalate to a court in case the optimistic bonding mechanism that we use for market resolution, is being cheated, or if someone is just overplaying their hand economically, you can always escalate to humans for a fair resolution of a market. Thanks for letting me speak. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the update. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And I don't have much more, Gene. Yeah, from you.
Yeah, just would like to share some updates from our development team, and then later go to the DAObox team so they can comment more about their solution. So the updates that I have is that Green recorded a video about the Kleros Zodiac module. It's a module for Gnosis Safe, and it's like he made like a cool video tutorial that makes it very easy to understand what you need to do to set up Kleros as an optimistic oracle on a Gnosis module. And I believe this will be nice for anyone that wants to maybe experiment with DAOs. So maybe you will have a DAO that you need to set it up on chain. This will be great material for that. Also, a part of the team has been working on finishing Proof of Humanity v2, and they have been working on the internal notification system. And we have a developer that has been working on Reality ETH Oracle on ZK Sync, and it will allow us to have disputes coming from ZK Sync, just like the Kleros can be used, for example, right now on Polygon. And this will open up the opportunity to have this same integration on other chains, even before VIA, or I don't know exactly which will be the best option moving forward, but well, it's another option for protocols and applications to use in the meantime. So yeah, I believe that's it for me. And I don't know if Aaron or Tony Stark would you like to talk about your solution?
Hey guys, I see Tony is about to say something.
Hey Aaron, no, you can go ahead.
No, boss, you go. You're the boss.
Oh no, so I will first go ahead and talk about DAObox. DAObox is a DAO, or a developer studio, where developers come and I pitch the idea of building solutions that would help decentralize DAOs further. So currently we are building on Aragon OSX platform, and the plugin, or the solution we just built, is a plugin called Optimistic Plugin. Aaron is the core developer there. So Aaron, can you go ahead and explain that one?
Hey guys, yeah. So we built a plugin on top of the new Aragon OSX protocol, and if any of you are familiar with Aragon and like the stack that they have this new protocol called Aragon OSX, and plugins are really similar to like how apps used to be in the old protocol. But essentially, the plugin, it acts as a optimistic proposal pipeline. So you can essentially submit proposals to the DAO, and without having to go through a vote, the proposal will just execute after a scheduled period of time if it is not challenged. And if it is challenged, then it will be escalated to Kleros Court where the Kleros drawers will arbitrate on it. One of the interesting parts, it's very similar to like some other optimistic proposal solutions that you have built on Kleros at the moment. One thing that is slightly different with our solution is that the proposer has to pre-fund their proposal with some collateral in excess of the court fees, and if they're challenged and they lose their challenge, then they have to pay the fee as they would do in any way, but they also will lose their fee to the challenger, essentially. So this is designed to incentivize people to watch these proposals and ensure that like no nefarious proposals are just like kind of snuck through, essentially. So that's pretty much it. We're hoping to, we're currently building out the a platform for DAOs built on top of Aragon OSX, and the optimistic proposal plugin will feature in that solution. But yeah, happy to answer any questions on that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If there are no questions, well, any question for me or for the rest of Kleros team, guys? Okay, well, I guess then you can go claim your POAP. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Everyone, thanks a lot. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye. See you.